prices have appreciated so much that I don't even know if you could make $150,000 a year and have a choice of what neighborhood you want to live in Tampa.
Absolutely not. No.
So it almost sounds like to me, you know, if those people were around today, obviously if you were working in government in the 40s, you're probably gone. I mean, that was quite a while ago, but those people bit themselves in the ass because now a policy that was once written to maybe affect certain minorities, now it's affecting everyone.
Yeah, it's affecting their grandchildren.
It's affecting their grandchildren.
It's a ironic twist, I guess. You know, maybe some of their grandchildren benefited from inheriting, but you know, the second son who didn't get the house they're not in that same position.
There's a lot of those folks, man.
Yeah, and so it's we just have to grapple with the reality of the history of how did we get here, and what were the specific rules that caused us to get there, and then what are the specific rules we can change. I mean, a very specific example in this case is we need to make it easier to have smaller lot developments. I mean, if you go and look at what cities are doing a really good job on housing affordability, there's a lot of things that I don't like about Houston. I don't want to move there, but they have very, very small lots, and they have a very diverse availability of housing that fits on those lots. I mean, they have single family homes that look like townhomes. They're separated. They don't share a wall. So if that's your issue, this exists, but it requires you to have small lot sizes, which by the way, Ybor has very small lot sizes. And I think a lot of people, especially young people, look at Ybor and say, I wish my neighborhood was a little bit more like Ybor so I didn't have to drive all the way to Ybor.
Yep.
And they're just little things like that we adopted in 1940 that were not just Tampa specific, that were very popular nationally, but were policies which are making housing more expensive. A story I like to tell is, you know, this is actually really what got me into this whole thing is, and I was talking earlier about, you know, housing justice is not a new issue, right? East Tampa has been talking about that for 100 years, more than 100 years. And there are people who have been talking about housing affordability for all time. What I saw, and the reason why I started this local chapter is, I live in a townhouse, and I saw in my neighborhood, I live in North Hyde Park area, that there were all these big houses that were being built, these McMansions basically, in North Hyde Park, which by the way is West Tampa. If you tell somebody who's been in Tampa for a long time that there are $1 million domain homes being sold in West Tampa, they would laugh at you. But the truth is that a new domain home in North Hyde Park is listing at over $1 million. And so I can't buy that. I'm not going to buy that. It's insane to think that I would even buy it if I could buy it. Mm-hmm. That's just beyond anything that I would accept in buying a house in Tampa. And so I'm like, but it doesn't make sense because you have a lot of folks like me who live in townhomes in that neighborhood, because there's a couple of them. There's not many of them. There's a couple of them. You have to wonder, what are the economic incentives that drive developers to build these stupid McMansions when they could be building much more dense housing with more square footage, with more units, which by the way, you know, smaller units get higher price per square foot generally. The economic model did not make sense to me. I'm not a developer. My day job has nothing to do with this, but I do have some intuition about how this works. It didn't make sense to me. And so I started looking into it, and I saw a couple of things. One is that we're not building very much housing. So there's something that's causing us to not build much housing. That's kind of surprising. Could that be related to the fact that McMansions are coming up on my block that should not, in my mind, be there? And the other is, you know, eventually I found out that if I wanted to buy a piece of land and build a townhouse thing, like 3 townhomes on a 50-foot frontage or something, what would it take to do that? Well, you have to go through the zoning process. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go see what that looks like, right? And so I pull up the map. And this is actually kind of a fun, this might be something we could share. If you look up PIMA, P-I-M-A, Tampa, that's how I Google it. And you go to these neighborhoods. Our zoning code is a disaster. Our map is a disaster. Across the street from me, it's actually illegal to build townhomes, I found out. I live in a townhome on one side of the street, and across the street from me, it's against the law to build a townhouse. And so if you want to go build a townhouse, you have to change the law. You have to hire an attorney, one of 10 attorneys who basically run all development in the city of Tampa. You have to go to city council, and then you have to have somebody on city council, you have to have 4 people on city council agree that they should change the rules so that you can build a townhouse on that parcel. So if you go on the left, you can't see it, but you want to click existing land use for Tampa future land use. The one above it. And then you can unselect the bottom one. So,
so what are we looking at here?
So each color here represents a different type of different density that's allowed on a parcel. And you'll notice we have cross streets. It's a patchwork it's completely random, almost. It's almost completely random because...
How do they decide? Do you know, Nathan, how exactly they decide?
I know exactly how they decide. They go to city council and they ask for a change and it gets changed. It can change at broad strokes through the comprehensive plan, which by the way is happening right now. This year is like the year, almost once in a decade opportunity for us to make a difference on the comprehensive plan.
It's like a lunar eclipse.
The future land use map is defined in the comprehensive plan. So this map is something that is up for debate right now at city council.
So this is so important right now. This episode is going to air this Friday, which is, I don't know what date that is. What would that be? The 19th or something like that? But this is coming up at Tampa City Council. What's the date?
It'll be so Tampa City Council meets every Thursday, basically. So it's not this Thursday, but January 25th.
So when this comes out, the following Thursday.
Yes, right. On January 25th. I'm not expecting there to be fireworks, but if you're interested in learning about this issue, I would recommend you go on YouTube, by the way, watch it double speed, the recording of it the day after, and listen to the conversation that happens and understand and ask, does this reflect what you think the conversation needs to be? Because I started this chapter because when I was watching those meetings, I was seeing 2 hours of debate about a lot split in South Tampa. City Council meets basically once or twice a month to approve almost every single development in the city of Tampa. We have 150 people moving to the city of Tampa, or the Tampa Bay area every single day based on the last decade of census data. That means that if an apartment complex can house, let's say 300 people, that means every 2 days, Tampa Bay needs to build a 300 person apartment complex. And I ask people all the time, I'll ask even developers, how many of those types of apartments are being built today? Is it let's say 50 of them in Hillsborough County or Tampa, Florida? It's probably in Tampa, it's like 20 max. I would be shocked if it was 20. Maybe I'm wrong, but we need to have 2 done every single day in the Tampa Bay area. That means that we have to have basically 150 done a year of large apartment complexes. And that's not happening. And especially in the areas where the growth is the most concentrated. It's not happening in the city of Tampa.
If you enjoyed this clip, click here for the full episode and make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.